and what the government plans to spend the money on, which is called expenditure. So the budget is an expectation of what government wants to get as well as income or revenue, and the expectation of what government intends to spend. So why do government generate revenue? They generate revenue because they are there to solve the needs of the people. So when they generate this revenue, they are supposed to allocate it to addressing these needs, be it in education, health, agriculture, infrastructure, even ensuring that they are enabling the environment for businesses to succeed. So this is what all this grammar here is trying to say. You have the document already, so you can take time to read the multiple. So this is what is called the macroeconomic analysis. The macroeconomic analysis is how government looks at all the factors that will determine where it will get its revenue from. So these are assumptions that let me ask this question. Who can tell us one of the major sources of income of Nigeria? Oil. So this macroeconomic analysis will look at how many barrels of oil can we produce next year. Then how much do we assume that the cost of oil will be? And once we know in a year, for example, if we are this is the price of oil. This is the assumption that in 2025 oil will be $70. The government is saying that every day they expect to generate 1.6 million barrels of oil. So based on that, they will now calculate in a month, how many barrels of oil will be generated. If they understand how many barrels of oil, if they times it at $70, it gives them an idea of what they will generate in the month. So these are assumptions to show, okay, this is how we will get money based on our sources of income. So other factors that affect our income is exchange rate. Our naira is exposed to the dollar. So one of the reasons why we have inflation now is because our naira has lost value compared to the dollar. So it is all of these factors that government will look at to see the things that will influence how much it will get in the incoming year. So if as an individual you have calculated that by the end of the month you have 10 naira as salary that will come to you, that a colleague promise to borrow you 5 naira, that's 15 naira, right? That your uncle that is a politician said he will give you free 5 naira, that's 20 naira. I'm just using it as an example. So by the end of the month, you are expecting 20 naira. So that is the same thing government do. They will look at how much they get as IGR, which in this case we can assume is the salary you get as an individual, that is your IGR. Then if you look at how much government intends to borrow as loan, that is the same way you can borrow money from your money. If government is saying we are also getting this amount from grants, it's the same money that your village will get free money. Grant is like free money. So that's why Yonia asked a very important question earlier on. That what's the difference between your personal budget and government budget? There's practically very little difference. The same way you expect income and you plan based on that income you're expecting. If it's to buy new phone, if it's to buy new car, whatever it is personally, it's the same way government also sits down and expects where money will come from to provide education for you, to provide health and other needs. So all of these are the variables. We don't have time to go into macroeconomics because I came in with the aim to confuse you, but not to confuse you at the macroeconomic level. So let's stay at the basic level. So This slide is just showing the population of Kaduna State. I'm thinking they made a mistake here. This is supposed to be 10.8 million people this year. That's the projected population because our population growth is at 3.19%. So they calculate it every year. We are supposed to increase annually by 3.19%. Because remember, what government is budgeting for is the population of the people. So they have to factor the number of people they are budgeting for. So the way a family man sits down to pay a budget, if you want to buy food as a family man, one of the factors you consider is the number of people in the house, right? And the kind of consumption level. You know, there are people that like 5 pounds a year they do them. They must reach like 10 before they can. So you factor number of people, their consumption level, and budget based on that. So it's the same way you do your personal budget, it's the same way government does it all. So we are beginning to go into the breakdown of the budget. So I want to quickly ask this question. Between revenue, income, and expenditure, which is spending, which is more important? Is that? Revenue. Why? So it means that as citizens, we should not only look at government is not doing, government is doing. The first thing we should ask, does government have the money available to do this? So if you are saying you are going to monitor a particular project that government is doing for community, it's not just first to go and appear there and say, government, why are you not completing the project? The first thing is there the money? Was the money released to the contractor? Then you now come and see, based on the money released to the contractor, is it commissioned in terms of that? So this is what we need to look at. So the revenue in 2025 in Kaduna State is likely going to be from 3 key areas. These are the 3 main sources of recurrent revenue that government is going to generate. The first one is value-added tax. Who can tell us what value-added tax is? VAT, aka VAT. We have heard of the word VAT. Government means VAT. So VAT is consumption tax. So there are certain consumables that when you buy, for example, if you buy a recharge card, VAT is supposed for it. If you buy a new phone, VAT is supposed for it. So all of those VAT is put together, then they have a formula that is shared it to the 36 states, including the federal capital territory, because our collective money. So they collect it at the federal level, then they use the formula to share it according to each state. So it's one of the sources that the government in Kaduna State gets money. Then the second source is statutory allocation. This statutory allocation is the money that government gets from selling our oil. All those excise duties, company income tax, all of those things that federal government collect is all categorized under the statutory allocation. So when federal government collects, they now also share it using that formula. And the formula I know they used before, but I think they are about to change it, is that the federal government collects 54% of that amount. Everything that comes as our collective wealth. The states collect about 26%, the local governments collect about 20% of that amount. So that is the second source of our budget. That is why you see they tell you that every month governors are going to Abuja to collect their own share of the national defense. The third one is the internal internally generated revenue, IGR. That's the one OOT was asking about. That I have not paid my tax and all of that. So all the tax that the Kaduna State government collects is where it is put into this internally generated revenue. So this is one part of the three sources of revenue that the government generates. So this is in 2025. But Kaduna State government is expecting to get 50 billion naira funds that they are supposed to use to address the issues that affect residents of Kaduna State. In the same line, this statutory allocation, government is supposed to get about 84 billion naira from it. Then lastly, the IGR, government of Kaduna State is saying they expect to generate 112 billion naira. I'm counting the number of people that are already on it. I told you that you will be bought today. You're already bought. It comes with budget. It makes people very poor. So, this is where Kaduna State government is going to get revenue, and this is called recurrent revenue. This one is the internal money that we get. So, I'll give all these words. So, in terms of expenditure, right? The expenditure is divided into two. If you remember 1 year's presentation, you have capital expenditure and you have recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure is from where government pays salaries. If you hear civil servants say they've not paid them salary or they have received salary, it is from this recurrent revenue. Then, inside this recurrent revenue, you have what is called overhead costs. That is the money that government uses to run the government, to buy fuel, to buy paper, to do all of the things that we need to do or to have for government to be able to function. So that is what is called recurrent expenditure. Capital expenditure is the money where you see government building roads, when you see government building hospitals. So in Kaduna State, in 2025, the government is saying that for capital expenditure, for new roads and all of those things, hospitals, they are going to spend 551 billion naira. That's what the number is confusing us. That's why you're So that's what government is saying. And remember, by the time you look at this money, you think it's huge money. Then remember our population, about 10.8 million. So even if you divide the total budget of Kaduna State by this number, you see that everybody is not going to get up to 50,000. If they carry the money and they say share it to every resident of Kaduna State, it's not moving up to 50,000 naira that each citizen will get. So, for recurrent, government